hyper budget commander video. This is another thing that I'm just doing to ensure that people have fun at commander tables. When I build my decks, just, I think if you've been watching me for a little bit, no infinite combos, hardly any game changers, if any at all. There's usually no game changers in the deck. This is for people who want to go back and forth with decks, you know, get big fights, combat tricks, all those things, so you can get an advantage, overpopulate the field even. So, with that being said, let's jump into our deck of the week, which is one that I've probably been working on the longest. It's Olivia, Opulent Outlaw. She is Mardu, so she's red, white, and black, and one colorless. Legendary vampire assassin with flying and life link with a 3/3 body. Not a terrible body. With the text that whenever one or more of your outlaws you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks are outlaws. So, and then once you're done making treasure tokens, you can use those treasure tokens by paying 3 colorless mana, sacking 2 treasures, putting 2 1/1 counters on each creature you control. So, when I was a baby, deck builder, when I was a baby brewer, I didn't really see that and think, oh, I need to populate the board with tokens. I think like, oh, I just need to put in more cheap creatures to summon, when that's just not the case. And the way I went about building this deck is not only keeping in a couple of creatures that, since I did build this for my girlfriend, I kept in a couple of creatures that she was obsessed with, namely Zoyoa and Atreus. But I ended up changing this a lot over time to fit what I think should be the way to play Olivia. And I know you could play it any which way, but it is important to look at your commander and the text that your commander has on it and say, oh wait, maybe I should go in this direction a little bit harder. Maybe I should find cards that are more specific this way. So what I did was I threw a bunch of outlaws in here, and I'm ensured that there's going to be plenty of outlaw synergy in the deck itself. You're going to see a lot of synergy. I'm probably going to go back and forth between cards, but let's just go ahead and get into it for now. I don't want to take up too much time, and since we already started with Olivia, let's go ahead and get into some of the lands I decided to throw in here. And I'm only running 34 lands. I know that's probably blasphemy for most commander players. 35, 36, up to 38 probably would be where you want lands. But with this deck, I have a lot of grab lands and I have a lot of draw. So it's kind of like you're not really ever missing out on land or mana to play with. I think you're playing mana every single turn, or you're getting like cards for free from other things in the deck that have this sort of like, being mercenaries. There's a thievery part of it. So let's get into that. The lands, I got Abraded Bluffs, would deal a damage. Ash Barrens. This is one of the lands that cycles, so you just go get a basic land, thin out your deck. Bojuka Bog is if somebody at the table is running Graveyard, you get Graveyard Hate. Command Tower, just a nice land card to have. Demolition Field, if you want to destroy a land somebody else controls that is bothersome and annoying, and then you can go get a basic land card. So another land grab, you've already got 2 in the deck. Evolving Wilds, there's your 3rd land grab. Exotic Orchard, another just play mana of somebody else. Midgar City of Mako, or Mako. The thing that I want played first on this card is the sorcery part of it, and you can sacrifice artifact or creature if you do draw 2 cards. So you have card draw in your land, and then you get to play this later for a swamp. Mortuary Mire. When it enters, put a target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. So there are some guys in here that you want coming back. Actually, there's a lot of guys in here that you want coming back, and they are kind of OP. We'll get into those later. 10 Mountains, Path of Ancestry. And when you spend mana to cast a creature that shares a creature type with your commander, you get to scry. So even better way of card filtering, card advantage. 4 plains and 4 swamp. Rogue's Passage, so that you really want, Olivia's text says that you want people swinging in and dealing combat damage, so of course you're going to have Rogue's Passage to be unblockable. Temple of Silence, just for more scry. Temple of the False God. This is just, instead of making room in your artifacts for a Soul Ring, I just like putting this in as a Soul Ring land. Temple of Triumph, you get to scry. Terramorphic, there's a 4th basic land pool. And Vault of the Archangel. This has some pretty serious synergy mid and late game, to where you can pay white, a black, and 2 colorless. Creatures you control gain Death Touch and Lifelink till end of turn. You will not die if somebody's dealing you damage because of this Death Touch and Lifelink. You will make yourself probably the one person that nobody wants to block. And let's get into some of the... I like working backwards now. I like working from, like, enchantments. So let's go up from enchantments. We got at Knife Point. Of course, it's from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Of course, it's going to be outlaw coded. So is Olivia. She's from Thunder Junction as well. So it reads, as long as it's your turn, outlaws you control have first strike. And whenever you commit a crime, that is when you target something on an opponent's board, you create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token with tap. Target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery, blah, blah. This will build some babies on board very quickly, and they get out of control pretty quickly. It's very notable. This has to be destroyed. But by the point that you're playing this, you probably have a few creatures on board anyways. Brimstone Roundup, whenever you cast your second spell, create a 1/1 red mercenary. Again, it's just babies popping up on babies. Impact Tremors, whenever a creature enters the battlefield and you control, it deals a damage to each opponent. We have a bunch of tokens entering. Impact Tremors. This goes good in any token deck that is red. Legion Loyalty. I thought this one was really interesting, and I just kind of randomly had it. Creatures you control have Myriad. So if you have a first strike Death Toucher, you get to attack at all of your opponents all at the same time. And you kind of ensure that you're always dealing that combat damage no matter what you're swinging with, generating those treasures, and then enabling you to make bigger and bigger creatures on the board. So Olivia, essentially, when your creatures make a hit as outlaws, she pays them, and when they get paid, obviously you go out and buy more equipment, right? You get stronger, so that's why you get those 1/1 counters. But yeah, Myriad is crazy. Rakish Crew. When this enters, you make another red mercenary creature token. And then whenever an outlaw you control dies, each opponent loses a life, you gain a life. So it's like another level of Impact Tremors. If the creature enters, and then once people destroy it, everybody's taking so much damage. Dipping into Final Fantasy, side quest Catch a Fish. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's artifact or creature, reveal it and put it in hand. And then if you put a card into your hand this way, create a food token and transform this enchantment. So it's like a little bit of draw. if you do get that artifact or creature, and then once you flip it, you get the cooking campsite to where it becomes a land from an enchantment, and then you can pay 3, sack an artifact. You're going to have plenty of artifacts. Put a 1/1 on each creature you control. So this can be done once every single turn. And then this can be done in addition to Olivia's ability, which is sack 2 treasures, put 2 1/1s. So you will have a pretty large board always. I threw this one in. I had it laying around from very lucky pulls in Edge of Eternities, but if you're wanting to make a big difference, especially with like a token deck, this is pretty killer. Whenever a creature you control dies, a creature, not a non-token creature, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exiles it. So you are sure to be the bane of everyone at the table. They do not want to block you, unless they want creatures on their side to be exiled. And at the beginning of your end step, if a player controls no creatures, sacrifice Sothera, then put a creature card exiled with it onto the battlefield under your control with 2 additional 1/1 counters on it. So you steal their creatures, or rather you exile their creatures, and then you steal them from the depths of space, making them even more powerful. We Ride at Dawn. This is, I pulled this from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. I believe it was a collector booster pack, and you get nice little commander cards in it. So We Ride at Dawn, legendary creature spells you cast have Convoke. Not really using it for that part. The other part is whenever your commander attacks, create a red mercenary creature token with tap, blah, 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 blah. So in this deck, Olivia does like to attack a lot, and that's why I have We Ride at Dawn in here. There's not too many legendary creatures, I don't think. So the first part doesn't really do much, but the second part, it is just another one of those other enchantments. So you have 3 enchantments essentially that create outlaws. Windcrag Siege, you can play this enchantment, choose Mardu or Jeskai. Truly, you can choose either one depending on what stage you are in with your deck. If you're early game, I think choosing Jeskai makes sense, so you can just have little baby goblins. And I think if you are mid or late game, Mardu makes a lot of sense because there's a lot of attacking, which causes triggered abilities you control to trigger, and it makes the trigger an additional time, which is really nice. So, Chainsaw, we're going to move to artifacts. Chainsaw, it's an equipment. When it enters, it deals 3 damage up to 1 target. So nice little board clear. Not board clear. Creature destruction. And then whenever 1 or more creatures die, not just yours, anybody's creatures, put a rev counter on Chainsaw. And then the equipped creature gets plus X plus O, where X is the number of rev counters on Chainsaw. This gets big fast with your token deck, especially with the fact that you will be destroying a lot of the board often. Grimbobble, he's just a cutie. When it enters, target creature and opponent controls gets -2/-2. So it's a nice quick way to just kind of clear something that's, you could say like a mana dork, something like that. And then you can pay 3 later, sack it, and then surveil 2. So more filter. Idol of Oblivion. You can tap this draw card and activate only if you created a token. You're always creating tokens. When are you not? And then later on you can pay 8, sack it, and then create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. So you get a big boy in your mid or late game. I added Skull Clamp from, I got the Caesar precon from Fallout, and it had a bunch of really, really fun mercenary cards in it. So, also this works well with your tokens, so that if you attach it to one of your tokens, you kill it immediately, because +1/-1, right? But then whenever the equipped creature dies, you draw 2 cards. So much card draw in this deck. Swiftfoot Boots, we all know what it does. Hexproof and Haste. Give it to Olivia. Tarian's Journal. This is another sack a creature, draw a card. But if you discard your hand and pay 2, you transform it into the Tomb of Aquazotz, which is a legendary land, lets you add a black, and you can cast a creature spell from your graveyard this turn. If you do, it enters with a finality counter on it, and it's a vampire in addition to its other types. So more recursion, more stuff from the graveyard, and this gives you that permanent recursion until you are exiling them enough to where you're actually losing them. The Reaver Cleaver. I didn't think this was such an expensive card. For 13 bucks. I think it's an include in any deck that wants legendary artifacts or just artifacts that are good. It is 3 mana for you get to equip equip creature gets 1/1 trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, create that many treasure tokens. Maybe I should have known, but we got this randomly. I think it was like in a Modern Horizons pack or something like that. I don't remember buying a collector booster, but we got it. And basically create that many treasure tokens. You equip it for 3. Put this on any creature, truly any creature in the deck. It has trample, and then just sack a whole of your treasure tokens with Olivia, because that 3 there means that you're not tapping her, you're just paying 3. So pay 3 over and over and over again to put so many 1/1 counters on people. Last of the artifacts is the Wind Crystal. If you would gain life, you gain twice that much life, but I'm not really worried about that one. The part we're worried about is you pay 6, tap it, creatures you control gain flying and lifelink until end of turn. So if you want to pick up all your mercenaries and drop them over enemy lines to have a huge swing, not only will you gain life, you'll gain double that life, and you'll deal direct damage with the flying. So, moving to the instants, let's see, Boros Charm. Why are these so expensive? I guess they're just really good, right? I haven't played Magic long enough to know when things are expensive, I guess. Woo! I am so sorry about that. I paused my recording because I had something in my tooth. Continuing. Boros Charms are super expensive, but you can choose one to deal 4 damage to a player or planeswalker. You can make all your permanents gain indestructible, and then you can also target a creature and they gain double strike till end of turn. I think this fits perfectly well in this. It's got the combat trickery. Kind of all 3 of them are combat trick, and I love it. Bottle Cap Blast, another one from Fallout that I had. It says your artifacts can help you cast this. So you could actually have this cost only 1 red, but it deals 5 damage to any target. If you dealt excess damage, create that many tap treasure tokens. Deadly Derision, destroy target creature or planeswalker, create a treasure token. Just a good card, treasure tokens. You create them, you kill stuff. Deadly Dispute, as an additional cost, sack an artifact or creature. What do we have? We have artifacts, we have creatures. And then, draw 2 cards, create a treasure token. Love it. Inevitable Defeat. This spell cannot be countered. Exile target non-land permanent. Its controller loses 3 life, you gain 3 life. This is just a crazy strong card. It's crazy that it's in Tarkir. I love it. Make a Stand. For 3, creatures you control get +1 and gain indestructible till end of turn. Perfect for when your opponent has huge blockers. So I'm like, oh yeah, it's fine. I'll block them all. Nope. +1 indestructible. Or if they want to like deal damage to targets that are attacking, just put this on the stack. Pyroblast. Actually, I have a different printing of this one. I have this really beautiful printing from Chandra's spellbook. There we go. So choose one. For 1 red, counter target spell if it's blue, or destroy target permanent if it's blue. Told you it would melt. I love this card, like the flavor of it, just boom, completely destroy something that's blue. And I really think that it's just it should almost be an auto include in sort of any deck that runs red, right? Um, it makes the game fun too, because imagine the red player counterspelling the blue player, right? So, Restoration Magic. This is another combat trick, kinda ish, depends. Um, but for Cure, 0, target permanent gains hexproof indestructible. Cura for 1, or sorry, for 2. Um, target permanent gains hexproof indestructible. You gain 3 life, and then you can pay 4 more, so you can pay 5 total. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. You gain 6 life. So you put this on the stack. Everything you control gains hexproof indestructible. So just 0 targeting, 0 destruction, and then you gain 6 life. This is a crazy spell. It's truly no wonder it's an uncommon for $2. Swords to Plowshares, just kind of everybody who plays white play this card. It's good. Exile target creature, its controller gains life equal to its power. It's just good. Unexpected Windfall. This one is actually, I think I do have the one from Fallout, and it says as an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards, create 2 treasure tokens. More treasures, more cards. You need them. This deck will give you so much value past like turn 5. You're playing everything, you're drawing everything. And I haven't even gotten to the creatures yet. So let's continue with the sorceries. Austere Command. Choose 2. Destroy all artifacts, enchantments, or all creatures with mana value 3 or less, or all creatures with mana value 4 or greater. Just a good way to make sure that your board is being protected, right? Because mostly you're going to have little weak baby mercenaries. So why not destroy all of the creatures with mana value 4 or greater? Also, if somebody's playing artifacts or enchantments and they're just like walking over you, barreling over you, just destroy those other 2, because eventually with this deck, you're going to get more and more and more of your outlaws on the board. Oh, I got some very, very mercenary specific some mercenary specific cards, and my girlfriend actually found it through bulk. It is search your library for a mercenary card, reveal that card, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. This card's awesome because the rules changed that from these older sets. If a card said mercenary like in that text box, it actually means outlaw now. So mercenary from back then means outlaw. So you can grab any outlaw card you want. It's an outlaw tutor. Hell to pay. X damage to target creature. Create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to the amount of excess damage dealt to that creature this way. Mourner Surprise. Return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Create a red mercenary creature token. Activate only a sorcery. So more recursion here. Phyrexian Rebirth. It's a destroy. It's a board wipe. Destroy all creatures. Then create an XX colorless Phyrexian Horror artifact creature token, where X is the number of creatures destroyed this way. If you're getting overwhelmed, drop this on the board. You can rebuild. Predator's Hour. Until end of turn, creatures you control gain menace, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library face down. You may look at it and play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that spell. This is one of the theft cards in here, and it's just great because you're always trying to hit face, right? So steal their cards, hit their face. Raise Dead. Return target creature card from graveyard to your hand. Again, we'll get into the creatures in a minute. Red Sun's Twilight. Destroy up to X target artifacts if X is 5 or more. For each artifact destroyed this way, create a token that's a copy of it. So you kind of get to steal their artifacts. Those tokens gain haste. Exile them at the beginning of the next end step. So you could say like it's useful in a way, depending, like, especially if it's you're destroying artifact creatures, that's especially good. Ruinous Ultimatum. Destroy all non-land permanents your opponents control. This has won games more than a few times, and I think that this is an include in all Mardu decks. It's just good. Victimize. Choose to target creature cards in your graveyard. Sack a creature on the board. You probably have a token. Little mercenary boy. If you do, return the chosen cards to the battlefield tapped. Victimize is a really strong card. So, now that we've seen all of this recursion, all of this treasure token creation, let's get to the creatures. We have Angel of the Ruins. This is more of like a tech include, so that when this creature enters, exile up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. It's also a great target for your Victimize, so you get this back to the battlefield, and you can exile 2 more artifacts or enchantments. Atreus, God of Passage. This is one of the cards that she would not let go of. I was like, okay, sure. I originally bought this for her to build like a cleric deck, but as long as your devotion to white and black is less than 7, it's not a creature, so it doesn't get hit by destroy all creature spells. He's also indestructible. And whenever another creature you own dies, return it to your hand unless target opponent pays 3 life. A lot of creatures will be dying that they need to clear. Like a lot of stuff that you want to attack will get blocked probably, and then just when they get blocked and they die, you get it back to your hand unless they pay 3 life. So Cataran Brute. This is another one of those old cards she found. So you can pay 2 and tap it, so this is just an ongoing thing. Search your library for a mercenary card, outlaw card with converted mana cost 2 or less. Put that card into play, then shuffle your library, so it goes straight to the battlefield. Cataran Enforcer. Can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and black creatures. This has destroyed us more than once. We just can't block it because not one of us ran black creatures or artifact creatures. You pay 4, tap it, search your card for a mercenary card with converted mana cost 4 or less, and put that card into play, shuffle your library. Another tutor card for mercenaries. So, Charming Scoundrel. I thought this is just a fun one, like a really early play with haste. You can get some damage in, discard and draw a card. You can also create a treasure token, or you can even create a Wicked Roll token for a creature you control. She's just kind of good all around, and she's a nice cheap include. Coalstoke Gearhulk. This is something I had laying around from pulling all of those sad Ether Drift booster packs. And he has Menace, Death Touch for 5 mana. When this creature enters, put target creature card with mana value 4 or less from a graveyard, that's any graveyard, onto the battlefield under your control with a finality counter on it. So it's kind of like a little bit of graveyard hate, but that creature gains Menace, Death Touch, and Haste. At the beginning of your next end step, exile that creature. So you zoom in with Coalstoke, you play it, and then you get that creature from anybody's graveyard, summon it on your side, entries probably will trigger, and then you have a Menace Death Touch that's going in. It's a very strong card. I didn't think this was so expensive, by the way, Dark Confidant, but it is. And I have this exact printing. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library. Put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to its mana value. Luckily, not a lot of stuff here is too big in mana value. And I will say you also have plenty of lifelink to go around for Dark Confidant to make sense here. And card advantage is just good, so just play it. Doomed Necromancer. You pay a black and tap him, sacrifice him, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. There's going to be some creatures we do want back, like especially the Angel of the Ruins. You can get one of these who tutor for your mercenaries. Even that Coalstoke. If you get Coalstoke back, guess what? You get something else back. So it's just a good guy, good card. End Rider Spike Spitter. Uh, this is one of the start your engines people, and at max speed, at the beginning of your upkeep, you exile the top card of your library. You can play it this turn. So more card draw, more card advantage, essentially. Enduring Courage. I thought this was a necessary include because once you have it on the battlefield, it's really hard to get rid of, and it gives all of your other creatures when they enter +2/+0 and haste until end of turn. This is just bonkers, especially when you're making a bunch of little mercenary tokens. This is absolutely crazy. So, and then also it turns into an enchantment when it dies, so really hard to remove. There's also an Enduring Innocence, which you're constantly making little baby mercenaries. This is going to trigger and get you another card draw. So once a turn, again, it's sticky, it's hard to remove from the board. Far Fortune, I thought she was just fun because whenever you attack, you always want to attack. She deals a damage to each opponent, but at max speed, if a source you control would deal damage to an opponent or permanent, it deals that much damage +1 instead. So it just adds an extra damage. It's kind of just for herself, but she's a fun mercenary to play. Gonti, Lord of Luxury. He has Death Touch, and when he enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 of your target opponent's library, exile one of them face down, and then put the rest on the bottom of that library in a random order. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. It's another like theft card. I really love theft cards. They really blend well with mercenaries and just like the style that you're going for. So just being a little sneak thief is really fun. Play your opponent's cards, get a lot more card advantage over them. Greywater's Fixer. This card is one of the cards you want to keep coming back forever, because for 4 mana, each outlaw creature card in your graveyard has Encore X, where X is its mana value, which means you exile it and pay the Encore cost. For each opponent, create a token copy that attacks that opponent this turn if able. They gain haste, sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step, activate only as a sorcery. So, right, you create a token copy for each opponent. It gains haste and it attacks, right, if able. So you're constantly doing your, what is it called? What's the enchantment that we had? I believe it was the, We Ride at Dawn. No, which one was it? This one, Legion Loyalty. You kind of just had Myriad, but in another card, Greywater's Fixer. So, Greedy Freebooter, nice, cheap, 1 mana, scry, create a treasure token. Grenzo Havoc Razor, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, choose one. You can goad a target creature that player controls, or you can exile the top card of that player's library. Until end of turn, you may cast that card and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that spell. So, and it's whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player. So it's not whenever one or more creatures, it's a creature. So you can have 3 creatures deal damage to a player, and then you would get one of these triggers 3 times, or you would get to choose one of the triggers 3 times. So pretty dope. We got Hearthborn Battler, Lizard Warlock, so he's an outlaw, and haste, and whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, Hearthborn Battler deals 2 damage to target opponent. So you get to choose where he fires as long as somebody is casting a second spell. Hellspur Posse Boss, he is going to enter with 2 1/1 mercenary creature tokens, and then all other outlaws you control have haste, which again include all those mercenary cards. Hollow Marauder, he costs 1 less for each creature card in your graveyard, and when he enters, any number of target opponents each discard a card. For each of those opponents who didn't discard a card with mana value 4 or greater, draw a card. So you're making sure that they are discarding things that are expensive and useful. Uh, and then if they don't, you get to go ahead and draw. You get to maraud your own deck. So, Impulsive Pilferer, 1 mana Goblin, Pirate, Outlaw. When he dies, create a treasure token. And then you can play him for Encore and create a token copy that attacks an opponent this turn if able. So once he dies, you can pay 4 mana to have him come back. And if you have 3 opponents, guess what? You are getting 3 more treasure tokens. So, because you sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Laughing Jasper Flint. This guy goes so hard if there are even 2 or 3 other creatures you control but don't own that are mercenaries in addition to their other types. So basically, with him, he is recruiting creatures, hopefully from your opponent's decks. You exile the top X number of cards from an opponent's library, where X is the number of outlaws you control. And then, so it's just the number of outlaws you control. And then until the end of next turn, you may cast spells from among those cards, and mana of any type can be spent to cast those spells. So hopefully you're grabbing other creatures, recruiting them, making a bigger posse, and then stealing even more cards. You're just constantly exiling cards from decks. Morbid Opportunist. Whenever one or more other creatures die, draw a card. This triggers once each turn. We didn't realize this. We thought it was once for your turn. And then she just got to draw 4 cards before it was her next turn, which was insane. So this is a great card. Please go get it if you don't have it. Throw it in a black deck. It's only 50 cents. Mysterious Stranger. This guy's a lot of fun for 4 mana. You flash him in. When he enters, for each graveyard with an instant or sorcery card in it, you exile target instant or sorcery from the graveyard. If 2 or more cards are exiled this way, choose one of them at random, copy it, and then you may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. This is just fun. It's not always gonna hit, but when it does, it feels so good at the table. Orochi Soul Reaver. We haven't been able to see this one get played yet because she doesn't really understand ninjutsu, but you can ninjutsu this in for 4, and whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you create a treasure token and manifest the top card of that player's library. So you steal the top card of their library, turn it into a 2/2 creature. Red Cap Thief. Again, it's a rogue. When it enters, create a treasure token. Just a real simple thing. Van, the Aspiring Sky Pirate. Whenever he attacks, create a treasure token, and whenever you sack a treasure, Van gets +1/+0 till end of turn. All of these treasure tokens being made and created and copied only means that Olivia is going to have that much more power over your opponents. So, Vile Smasher, Gleeful Grenadier. He is a fun little outlaw to have. He will never attack, but with all of your mercenaries entering, all of your outlaws entering, he deals 1 damage to target opponent. So he's just constantly throwing his little grenades as more people enter. And then finally, Zoyoa Lava Tongue. This is one of the ones she asked me to include in the deck at the beginning of your end step if you descended this turn, which means if a permanent entered your graveyard from anywhere, each opponent can discard a card. They may discard a card or sacrifice a permanent. And if they don't, she will go ahead and deal 3 damage to each opponent who did not. So another really fun card to just leave on the field. She also has Death Touch. She's also an outlaw, which was just a really lucky thing to have for Zoyoa. But that's pretty much it from me. If you want to see more of these decks, if you want to earn a free deck yourself, go watch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/redpaladin44. You can go and watch up until you get 50,000 channel points. I know, I know that if, that's a lot of channel points, but I will purchase a deck. I will build a deck custom made just for you, depending on the commander that you choose. Then I will sleeve it and I will ship it myself straight to your door. You can jump into my Discord. I will make sure all of your address, or if you want to use a PO box, all of that's completely private. But depending on how you want to do it, you still get a free commander deck built by me. if you enjoy these fun builds that don't have infinite combos that aren't too crazy expensive, I will go ahead and do that for you. So, um, give me a like. If you want to subscribe, you can. You absolutely don't have to. I truly just make these videos for fun, and all I want to do is share my deck building with the world because apparently enough people like it to where they are asking me locally to go ahead and build them decks. So I'm like, hey, whatever, I'll build. I have so many cards I don't know what to do with. Why not use it for good, right? So, uh, you guys have a good one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.